training unwell. What does that mean? That's a broad subject, but for the purpose of time, we'll cut to the chase. You can train when you're unwell. You can train when you've got a cold or the flu, you've got a stomach bug, you can even train with a mild headache, you can train when you've got an injury. When you've got an injury, a musculoskeletal injury, that's shoulder, elbow, hip, wrist, knee, back, even ankle, foot, you can still exercise, you can still train. Yes, you're not going to go triple jumping and basketball. If you've got bad lower back injuries or severe patellar tendonitis, those sort of things, but you can train around it. Now, the reason I mentioned trained unwell is because I think over the last 3 or 4 days, I felt a little bit tired, maybe even a little bit run down. Not bedridden with flu or sickness, anything like that, but my body temperature went down a little bit. I felt like I was cold when I shouldn't be cold. I needed to eat more hot food, drink more hot drinks, put the heating on in my house. And it wasn't like it was sub-zero temperatures towards the end of January, early February. Maybe because it was damp and dark and cold and wet might have been the reason why. However, if you can tell by my voice, I'm a little bit throaty, nothing too exciting. All right, training unwell. Now, what you should do if you've taken up your exercise program is always be mindful that unwell doesn't always mean you've got a sick, cold, flu, a bug. It can be again that you've got an injury. So you have to be thoughtful in your process and make a note that if you are suffering with poor sleep, you can't fall asleep, you struggle to get to sleep, you stay awake throughout the night, or you keep up waking up too early, or heaven forbid, a combination of all three of those, there's a reason why. It could be that you've got too much caffeine in your body, you've got too much stress going on, you're sleeping in an environment that's too hot for you, bedroom, or it's even too cold, but there'll be a reason why, okay? Or you're staying up too late at night, working, watching TV, stimulating the brain and mind so you can't fall asleep. But there'll be a reason. And then what happens is as your body starts to tire through poor sleep, you're more predisposed to injury and or illness, or a combination of both. So you've got to take that into account. So if you go to the gym 3 to 5 times a week, you're a regular gym goer, and you go in the gym and do your cardio, you do your strength training, your mobility, flexibility, you may want to take a week off, certainly 5 days, Monday to Friday or something like that, or Thursday to Sunday, maybe even into the following Monday. It may be that you need to take 7 days unbroken, 7 days consecutive off. You've still got to walk, you've still got to do your chores around the house, you've still got to go to work as long as you can, it's safe to, for yourself and your work colleagues. But I would say to yourself, okay, right, I'm going to take 5 to 7 days off, give my joints a rest, give my nervous system a rest, let my skin, teeth, hair, nails, skin, eyesight, let everything sort of rejuvenate itself with quality sleep, quality nutrition, and of course, plenty of adequate hydration. You are essentially, without the assistance of pharmaceuticals, you're giving your bodies its natural ability to heal and recover from not necessarily chronic fatigue syndrome, but maybe just, we'll call it overtraining. Excuse me. There are signs of overtraining, okay? Again, erratic behavior, you would know that. If it takes someone to tell you that you've got erratic behavior, it's not too late, but you've definitely got to do something about it. Erratic behavior, poor sleeping patterns, poor libido, low sex drive, an indifference to work, your friends, family, whatever's going on, which sometimes can be a help to you, but generally, if you've got an indifference to everything, then there's something physiologically not right at that moment in time. All right, the next thing is you become weaker in the gym. No matter how much you try, you're not progressing in the amount of resistance you're doing, but you're actually, you're going backwards. The decline in your strength will show pretty quickly if you're overtraining and you've not got enough nutrients, you're not eating enough calories to fight your body being broken down from exercise. The body repairs after exercise and between. So when you've gone back home after your workout, that day, that evening, the following day, your body's going through a repair phase, The body doesn't repair when you're exercising. You're physiologically breaking the body down from the nervous system right down to muscle, ligament and tendon. It repairs when you're not training. So in that case, you would need good sleep and good nutrition, good hydration, and supplements if it's need be. So what you don't want is overtraining, which leads to soreness, weakness, fatigue, to become chronic fatigue. Because chronic fatigue syndrome, don't self-diagnose this, you know your own body, but generally chronic fatigue syndrome will give rise to a breakdown in every part of your anatomy and physiology, both physically and mentally and possibly even emotionally. That's when you make bad decisions, or at the very least, indecision as well. So look for the signs. Injury, you've constantly got a cold, or you're sneezing, or you're coughing, low sex drive, and indifference to work, indifference to friends or family, weaker in the gym, you get tired walking around your own house, you find it hard to concentrate on what ordinarily would be basic tasks for you. So let's look at it then. All right then, so first thing we do is address the nutrition. Yep. If you've got overtraining, the first thing you can do is address nutrition, because you can start that the moment you think about it. So get rid of the junk food in your house. The next thing is to address your sleep. Now the sleep will take longer. You're not aiming for perfection, you're just trying to make things better. You're just trying to get some unbroken sleep. I fall asleep quite quickly myself, normally because I have long days in my work and my lifestyle. I'm always awake at 6 a.m. So by the time 10:30 to 11 o'clock comes, I'm pretty tired, and I'll fall asleep usually within 5 to 15 minutes, 20 minutes at the most. But I'm an early riser. So generally, and with training myself and training clients, my body gets so tired that even if my mind was a little bit up and racy, my body will dictate otherwise. Or equally, can work the other way around. Your nutrition is something you can turn your hand to straight away. Go through your kitchens, go through your cupboards, get rid of poor nutrition, and eat your way back to health. And that not just the quality, but the actual quantity. A lot of people train to such a degree, they're not taking on enough calories separately from the quality of calories. That's a separate issue. So they need to take on more calories, which by definition, if they eat healthy, then those extra calories are going to be ordinarily healthy calories. They could be calorie deficient by 200 to 300 calories a day for a month, and that's going to take its toll on your body sooner rather than you think. So make sure that you're taking on board enough calories to fight injury and infection, at the worst case scenario, bedridden with chronic fatigue syndrome. Think about it. If you've injured, let's go back to the musculoskeletal system. Let's go back to your physique. If you've got tennis elbow or golfer's elbow, what we would call lateral or medial condylitis, epicondylitis, then that doesn't mean you can't train. It means you've got to train lighter, train with different planes of movement, train your legs, your quadriceps, your glutes, your hamstrings, your calves, abdominals, obliques. You can still train your body, but you may want to take at least a month off, full body weight pull-ups, at least a month off heavy weighted barbell chest press. You can always grab dumbbells instead with a neutral grip. It's just a little bit easier on the elbow joint. Go with a neutral grip, on your chest presses. Instead of doing pull-ups, do a seated narrow grip back row if you've got resistance bands or a cable machine. If you've got a knee injury, I've got a sore knee at the moment. I've had it for quite some time now, but generally I would lay off the heavy squats, barbell squats, loading up that barbell, that 20 kilo bar, loading it up with anything between 20 and 70, 80 kilos on top of that. Have some time off. Go back to single leg work, some unilateral leg exercises, single leg TRX squats, lunges, forward lunges, reverse lunges, lateral lunges, box step ups, partial movements as well, hip raises, maybe even go into a machine, if you've got a machine in your health club, and do some moderate weight leg presses, ones where you can do 25, 30 reps, because that means by definition the weight is going to be light enough for you to safely move that weight 25 to 30 times. If it's a weight that you can only move 8 to 10 times and you're injured, it's too heavy at that moment in time. You can always go back to it, go back to training heavy. So give the knees a rest, give your elbows a rest. If you've got lower back pain, I suggest you go and see your sports massage therapist or your physiotherapist. Maybe even a chiropractor, but certainly have some warm baths, not too hot, have some Epsom salts, to warm up your lower back, and if anything, it will help increase your core temperature as well. Because when you get an injury, especially in winter, maybe even autumn, it's easy for you to stop moving the way you normally do, and therefore your temperature, your core temperature, could actually drop. It's only got to go down by about 2 degrees, and you can get ill enough to put you in bed. So be mindful that you drink plenty of hot fluids, plenty of hot water, ginger, lemon, maybe even a little treat of hot chocolate. Don't drink too much caffeine. Keep it to 1 a day, if not 2, if you have long days, and that's only if you drink coffee anyhow. So, if you've got pain in the lower legs and your body's fine, train your upper body. Train your chest, your back, your shoulders, your triceps, your biceps, abs and obliques. But you can still exercise your legs, walking on a treadmill, going on a cross trainer, and some light pedaling on a spin bike, and of course a rower. But you've got to work a way around it. And the key is to actually give it enough time for that injury to not 100% heal, because the body never 100% heals, not in my experience anyhow. But you want at least a 70-75% recovery from injury to a joint, ligament, tendon or muscle. And you'll know what that feels like. It means it's not hurting from morning, day and night. It's not stopping you from training, but you're about 70% healed, which means you can go back to those movements you did before, but still take it careful. When you train heavy, you tax the body with multi-joint compound moves, squats, deadlifts, lunges, pull-ups, overhead presses, clean and presses. You're taxing the body's nervous system as well. And of course, the nervous system controls everything in the body. Yep. It controls how you move, how you think, how you feel. It controls all the other systems in the body, the musculoskeletal system, the circulatory system, the cardiovascular system, the digestive system, the skin. The skin is actually a system itself, all controlled by the nervous system. So when you're tired and fatigued and you're lifting heavy with those big multi-joint compound moves, you're going to put such a strain on your both your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. It's going to take its toll, and it could leave you with an almost jaded or jet lagged, or it can lead to headaches or even migraines. It can leave you. It can even lead towards you making really bad decisions at a critical time while you're driving. While you're working with machinery. So if you find yourself slurring your words or you feel really tired, and it's not because you've had a late night, that could be that your nervous system requires time to recalibrate and reset. So with that sleep, nutrition, high quality levels of hydration as well. And then if your pharmacist or your GP suggests any pharmaceuticals to help, then that's your discussion with him. All right, or her. All right, now let's just recover. Tiredness, soreness, overtraining. The next stage is fatigue, and then next stage would be chronic fatigue syndrome or CFS. Now, you definitely don't want that. So work your way around it. Yes, you can train ill. If you're bedridden with flu, you can't train. Your training is then just sleeping and hydrating and taking your meds and taking your soups. You've got to use all your body's energy and all your body's cells to recover from being ill. If you're post-operation and you've had an operation, now's the time to rest and recover. Read a book, learn how to paint. Do something with that 2, 4, 6 week period where you can't train in a normal manner. Because the first part of your training is going to be rehab, after post-surgery, hip surgery, back surgery, knee. You could have a hairline fracture in the metatarsals, in the foot area, or to the ankle joints. That's going to take time for you to recover because it's weight bearing as well. So, and of course, if you go back too quickly, I've done it in the past, being a sportsman. I've gone back to training too quickly in my chosen sports or fitness training itself, and I should have always given it another week or two. But you learn from your mistakes. I can make mistakes, so you don't have to. Yeah, that's why I've studied the body, anatomy and physiology, to enable me to understand the body more and impart my information to others, and hopefully they take it on board and use what they can to their own benefit. All right, that's a short one today. Remember, you can train when you're unwell, but don't train through unwellness, we'll call it unwellness, to a point of chronic fatigue, which can leave you in a bad way, and it will have a detrimental effect on people around you as well. So know when to look out for the signs and do something about it before it's too late. That's it. Today's a short one. Happy February. My name's Tristan Lowe. The channel's Health No Filter on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, LinkedIn, podcast.co, Apple, all the usuals. Please feel free to subscribe to my channel. Make a comment. I'll be happy to answer. Fast approaching 100 subscribers. Until the next one, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Stay healthy. Bye for now.